Cincinnati's renaissance is well documented, but for it to continue, a part of it needs to transform. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, Cincinnati's vanishing office space. Class B office space in the central business district is quickly disappearing. Buildings that have historically been full of employees now have people living or staying in them. The former Enquirer building is now 2 hotels, and the old Central Trust Tower will soon be luxury apartments. They're among the 3 million square feet of office space downtown that is or is about to be converted to something else. To put that in perspective, that's more than 3 great American towers worth of space. A downtown immigration knows the struggle of finding office space firsthand.
We were very happy in the textile building where we're currently housed. Unfortunately, because that building is one of the many buildings in downtown Cincinnati that is converting, we were unable to extend our lease and therefore had to begin a search for new office space. Nevertheless, we actually had to do a whole second loop of spotting for offices because our first time through did not really uncover office space that we thought was suitable for the law firm.
The firm settled on a spot on West 3rd. It's much bigger, but the rent is double. Tom Demeropoulos wrote the story. He's in the studio with Business Courier editor Rob Dawmeyer with what all this means in the long run. Gentlemen.
Peg, thank you. Tom, thanks for being here. Peg said that 3 great American towers worth of space disappears. Why is this happening? What is the instigator for this?
Yeah, so there's a couple factors at play here, Rob, and one is that the buildings that are being converted were no longer efficient office layouts. Today's office user wants a bright, open floor plan. They want a big space. They want to put all their employees on one floor when possible. And a lot of these older buildings, which Cincinnati is lucky to have, they just weren't efficient for that type of office space anymore. You'd have a company that would be across 3 or 4 floors, so that means 3 or 4 bathrooms, 3 or 4 break rooms, and that space just isn't as efficient anymore, and companies really want to work on that. So these buildings had been sitting empty, so building owners and then developers were looking at them, well, how can we best use these buildings? We shouldn't tear them down, but they're not really efficient as office space anymore. And they really lend themselves well to converting to apartments and hotels.
So we're talking largely about what they call Class B space here. There's Class A space, but for people who just don't know, who aren't in the business, who don't cover it like you do, what's the difference between Class A space, Class B space, and I guess is there a Class C space?
There is. Some people consider there to be a Class C space, but yeah. So the classes of office are broken down by price point, and that's also kind of figured out by the level of amenities that are in these office buildings. So if you look at a Great American Tower or a Scripps Center, you've got the great big floor-to-ceiling windows, you've got the latest and greatest amenities in the lobby, very fast elevators, all those things kind of play into that. B space would be buildings that are kind of the mid-tier. They're typically older buildings. They have some amenities, but they're not as nice as those Class A buildings, and that's kind of why they lend themselves to this conversion.
Yeah, so where do we go from here? I mean, is this story good news for Cincinnati, or is it bad news for Cincinnati? How do we take this idea that we've lost millions of square feet of office space?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So we're about halfway through this process of that 3 million square feet. About half is completed. We've got another, call it 400,000 square feet under construction right now that's being actively converted, and then about another 1.3 million in the pipeline to change. So it's good because you're adding a lot of vibrancy, you're adding a lot of residents to downtown. That's huge for downtown, and that also helps the businesses. But if you're a Class B tenant and you're looking for space and your lease is coming up, you've lost essentially 3 million square feet of options. So you're going to have to choose, you're going to have to pick and choose kind of where you go, or you might have to decide to leave the CBD or bump up your price point. You might have to go to one of those A buildings and pay a little bit more. But that also can be a benefit for companies because they kind of view the space as a way to attract and retain talent.
Sure. This is very much in flux, and if you're not in downtown a lot, I'm just telling you, the city is very much in flux. There are construction sites all over the place making these changes, so it's a wonderful story that Tom wrote. I highly recommend that you read it, and back to you.
All right, thanks, Rob and Tom.